on this climb, and he is a man possessed by a vision of rainbow jersey that he could win as a world champion.
Well, there's the chasing group, and they're losing ground on Fignon. And Fignon will know it now. He's gambled everything on this attack. So it looks as though Laurent Fignon is heading towards victory in the World Championship.
Can it be possible that he will exact his revenge from the humiliation of the Tour de France? It certainly seems so. Stay with us. We'll be back. The original three breakaway riders not willing to give up the race, still hoping to survive and win. Rooks, Claviola, and Konyshev, with Laurent Fignon in hot pursuit.
So there's just 4 miles remaining now of the 163, and Greg LeMond has made his move. Look at this. Greg LeMond has flown across the gap from the chasing group. He's caught Laurent Fignon, and he's making it look so easy. Fignon glances over his shoulder there, but I don't think he'll know yet that Greg LeMond has joined him. That is a fine piece of riding by the American. Now he knows, because he's looked through to his inside, and LeMond attacks him. And Fignon is finding somewhere the reserves to go and catch up with LeMond.
Laurent Fignon's worst nightmare has come back to life. Greg LeMond surging on the hill in the final stage of the Tour de France. These two fought some 3 minutes apart. Here they're side by side on the final climb.
And look at this, LeMond goes again. LeMond goes again, and this time he has the three leaders in sight. So for the first time in the best part of 3.5 hours, the men at the head of the World Championship can be seen. And it's the American Greg LeMond who races to get across to them first. He's dragging with him Laurent Fignon, and Fignon's in trouble. Fignon has lost the gap just like he did in the Tour de France. LeMond is going away from him. So Laurent Fignon, but the top of the hill is coming, Brian, and Fignon can come back yet.
Here comes LeMond right around the trio. And look at Claviola. The fight in him is not yet gone. As LeMond comes by, it is the Frenchman that goes to his wheel as they begin now the descent.
So we have LeMond leading from Claviola, Konyshev and Stephen Rooks. Fignon is just off the back. This is Steve Bauer here, also trying to cross the gap. And look at this. Steve Bauer has a flat back tyre. I'm certain, Brian, that Steve Bauer had a flat back tyre there as he was coming down this descent.
He is certainly, yes it is. Look, the flat rear tire, he's signaling, but it's far too late to change a wheel and get back in. A man that probably has the most incredible bad luck when he's so close to victory or a chance at it here in the World Championship again.
I can't believe that, Brian. Last year disqualified from the World Championship. Now he's out at the most crucial moment with a flat. He won't believe it either. But this is now developing into one of the finest finishes for years. And this is the group behind, and they look as though they're beaten. Robert Miller is there in the white jersey, number 3 in line. These are the stragglers now on what has been a day of attrition in this rain. Most of them have given up, and we hear that less than 50 are still riding around the course. Still the crowd cheer up the remnants of this World Championship, and this bunch here do not know what is happening at the front and what a dramatic end we're in for.
The final 2 miles of the race course, and on the descent now, it is very, very difficult for attacks to happen and gaps to be closed. There's Laurent Fignon, though. He has rejoined and, in fact, gone away from the small group that he was with. And Greg LeMond is the one that's making the chase right now.
But, Brian, I can't believe this. This World Championship is coming down between the two same men who dominated the Tour de France, and it's Fignon just ahead now of Greg LeMond, and the other three trying to match the pace. We're on the descent now, down towards the finish in Chambery.
They've certainly thrown caution to the wind, even on this wet road. No tiptoeing around the corners for this group, not with a World Championship at stake. 90 kilometers an hour, nearly 60 miles an hour for the breakaway group. And Fignon has been caught by LeMond. They are 5 riders together now. Rooks in the back, 2 Frenchmen, the Soviet and American Greg LeMond.
Well, the odds now surely are on the side of the French with 2 riders here. But Konyshev is the man pushing the pace, and this really is a fine piece of riding by him. He's been out amongst the leaders all day, and he still will not give up. We saw him waiting when the 3 were about to be caught, and now it seems he was keeping something back for the sprint.
With less than 2 miles to go, this race is far from over. Stay with us.
And we're now back in the last 2 miles of this year's title race, and Konyshev of the Soviet Union leading the race down the mountain towards the finish in Chambery. And he's being chased here by Claviola, and these are the remnants. We just got a glimpse there of the 3 riders who are chasing them, and it includes Greg LeMond. Through the chicane, the road's now extremely wet and slippery.
It appears as though Claviola and Konyshev Two of the original heroes are now back at the front, but they look a little slow, and even Konyshev now is looking back at the other three. And here's Greg LeMond in full cry. He's caught them again.
Well, LeMond was asking for somebody to come and help with the chase there, and Laurent Fignon, thinking of his teammate Claverola, would not take up the pace.
Even a hand gesture by LeMond there, a little bit frustrated, but he's nevertheless closed the gap to the leaders, and we're back together with 5. And here's Kelly now. Sean Kelly has come up from the group behind and joined the front group as well.
So the great veteran of the World Championship, Sean Kelly, who's won a silver medal as far back as 1982 in England, is now back in this race. He's prepared for it, he wants to win it, and surely at 33 now, the man in green, this has got to be his last shot.
He's certainly one of the most dangerous sprinters in the group. And here goes Laurent Fignon, not wanting to wait for a sprint against Sean Kelly or Greg LeMond or any of the others. Laurent Fignon, again, very animated here as we come down to just the final mile and a half or so of this race.
6 riders remaining, Claverola dangling off the back. Perhaps at last the man from France is feeling the pressure. Fignon has eased, LeMond has marked him, and somebody's gone, and it looks to me as though Rooks has gone. Rooks has put in another attack, he's opened the gap. Now can they react? Fignon is tired after that attack.
And Greg LeMond, having just caught Fignon, also tired. Those two are watching each other, and here goes Rooks, taking advantage of the hesitation, and once again it's LeMond that takes up the chase.
Where does Greg LeMond find his energy from? This man will not give up this year. The winner of the Tour de France is now chasing down Stephen Rooks. Tremendous attack going on here by Greg LeMond. He could still win this World Championship if he can catch up with Stephen Rooks. In the World Championship press room, a few hundred feet from the maddening crowd of the finishing line, reporters from a dozen European nations have already begun filing their stories, even before the result is known. Others have chosen the press room as a quiet haven, or perhaps to call a curious editor in Paris. At the television grandstand, which is of Olympic proportions, the tension has mounted. And for Bob LeMond, Greg's father, and Fred Mengoni, Greg's mentor, the pictures tell it all. Greg is still in contention. Otto Giacom, Greg's faithful trainer, is also tense. He's not alone.
Greg LeMond has caught and passed Stephen Rooks and Sean Kelly. The feared sprinter is right on his wheel. Rooks tries to tack on to those two. They look over their shoulders, and just in the upper right corner of the screen come the rest of the players, led by Laurent Fignon.
Well, we're approaching the final half mile of this world title. There are 6 riders here who could now take it away with them. And here we come. The red kite up there says 1 kilometre from the finish. Laurent Fignon on the far right is Konyshev. The green jersey is Kelly, but the attack goes. Laurent Fignon has gone. LeMond has countered the move. Kelly looks to me, Brian, as though he's struggling.
Well, Laurent Fignon has decided to take matters into his own hands here in the final kilometer of the race course. Less than half a mile to go now. LeMond is on his wheel, and Fignon making his bid for victory. Kelly's got the good position behind LeMond for Rooks and Claverola and the Soviet Konyshev in the rest of the spots behind them. Now Fignon gives it up a little bit, and even LeMond is looking around nervously, and so is Kelly.
This is a tense finish. There's so many riders here. Know now they are a spit away from a world title, and nobody willing to open the chase, because the man that does will lose the title. That's what they're thinking. Konyshev on the far left, a Russian rider in a professional world title for the first time in the history of the sport. He would love the title today. Laurent Fignon being marked all the time by Greg LeMond. They'll see the finish now, and this is the sprint starting.
Fignon breaks on the right, and Greg LeMond on the left. LeMond in the lead, going to the straightaway line. Sean Kelly on his wheel in second spot. LeMond still in the lead, coming down the straightaway. Kelly makes a break on the left side. And on the right, it's Konyshev, the Soviet. Greg LeMond leading. His hand in the air. He's got it. The World Championship title to Greg LeMond.
Allez, allez, allez. Non, c'est son père. C'est son père. arriver. Énormément de monde, évidemment. Non. Je suis. Just wanted to leave. Écartez les gars. Toi, tu l'as arrivé, j'y croyais pas. Le chef était mauvais.
C'est son père, nom de Dieu! C'est son père! Ça va pas! C'est son père! Ça va. C'est un barbare quand même!
Far from the frenzy of Greg LeMond's victory, Sean Kelly's bronze medal. Perhaps his last chance at a world title has slipped away.
But the madness continues for the new world champion, Greg LeMond of the United States. What a year it's been for this young man. From being on a deathbed to champion of the world and the winner of the Tour de France.
And now if he can only survive the crush of the press and the crush of the fans to get to the podium and collect his medal.
2 laps to go, the whole race changed, and you were a very big part of that.
Well, with 2 laps to go, I really didn't think I was even going to finish a race. It was only until a lap and a half, 2 laps to go that I started feeling good. Really only a last lap, and I felt very, very good.
And so the sad figure of Laurent Fignon almost going the wrong way. What a year it's been for him, beaten again by the American.
All that's left now for Greg LeMond is to collect the laurels of his victory. He already has the rainbow jersey that he wore once before, and now the gold medal. Greg LeMond, for the second time in 1989, stands atop the cycling world.
I broke my wheel with 2 laps to go, and I was going to change it, and I decided, I better not change it. At that moment, I started feeling good.
Another chapter in the fairy tale. How do you feel?
Well, considering I thought about winning today. I mean, I imagined what it would be like winning, and but I didn't think it was really. I mean, I thought it was possible, but I thought it'd be very, very difficult. And then when I got in the race, I felt so bad, and I was ready to quit. And I just kept putting it, saying one more time, and it worked out. Everything seems to be working out right now.
Things certainly are working out. Greg LeMond is world champion. The silver medal goes to Dimitri Konyshev, bronze to Sean Kelly, and for Fignon, a disappointing 6th.
And so another chapter in the continuing story of Greg LeMond comes to a close. It's a story that was destined to be something quite extraordinary right from the beginning. But of course, just because his story has been exceptional hardly means it's anything like the fairy tale many would like it to be. Imagine the disappointment of winning the 1986 Tour de France and not being able to enjoy it. Or the injustice of being gunned down at the prime of an athletic career so brilliant it's unlikely to be equaled in the foreseeable future. Of course, life's dark moments have a way of being easily swept aside when fortune takes a turn for the better. And now that Greg LeMond is riding high again, and praised so highly by those who reviled him only months ago, let us not forget that perhaps most remarkable about this man is that he never lost the ability to believe in himself through the darkest times. For Phil Liggett, I'm Brian Drebber. Thank you for joining us at the 1989 World Cycling Championships.